How you doing, guys? Welcome to your cook along video for Dine at Home this week, which is week 2 of April. We still have one singular box. It is like a fly that won't get out of my kitchen. It literally, we've still got one box left. So if any of you know anyone who would like a box, or equally if you haven't purchased a box but you, for whatever reason you're watching me doing this cook along video and you like what you see, please just hit the link on in our website, on our Instagram page for the website dineathome.co.uk and order a box. So you are in week 2 of April, and we are going to go through starter, main course, dessert, including the vegetarian main course as well, so we're not forgetting. We also always do the majority of the boxes. We always plate the majority of box sales, so essentially we'll always plate the sort of the meat option. But again, we go for the vegetarian option as normal as well. So without further ado, we'll crack on. Your first taste, as always, we do change the flour up an awful lot with the bread. This week is a Cotswold white, but we always use Cotswold flour, so check them out on Instagram. Super flour, loads of bread recipes on there as well. The white probably proves the best, and it's also the lightest. So this is really, really delicious. Baked today, goes fresh into the oven at 180 degrees for 5 minutes, and that'll be ample time to sort of crispen up and crust the outside, and inside be nice and warm and fluffy. And enjoy that with your signature Marmite butter. Essentially, you can also keep that for your starter, or certainly half of it. It is a tear and share. Obviously the tear and share is optional, but definitely keep it for your starter, because the starter is a first again for us. It is a beautiful classic French onion soup. First time we've done it for the Dine at Home boxes, and we've just done a nice little sort of accompaniment with them. The reason why I've done the accompaniments is essentially you will always have a grilled sort of crouton with your soup, with your French onion soup. We obviously can't grill a crouton for you, so we're going to do the variations of flavour in a different sort of concept. So have a little look at what you'll get in your box for your starter. Obviously both starter and main course are exactly the same, because we've done the French onion soup with vegetable stock and a little bit of butter. So in your box you will get a whipped cheddar, which is a black cow cheddar, so it's quite salty, quite naturally salty. Whipped custard, it's super thick. You can, I've put on the instructions to heat it very gently. You don't want it to go to liquid, you just want to heat it for about 10 seconds in the microwave. If it needs further, just obviously put it on for another 10 seconds, but you just want to soften it because it is super thick. A beautiful chive-all. I've been quite heavy with that because again, it's all part of the onion family, so you sort of want to get those flavours continually sort of crossing over all the time. So that's a real delicious chive-all, and don't be shy with that when you put it on, but obviously we'll plate it in a second. Sourdough croutons, these have been cooked in burnt noisette butter with a little bit of thyme and garlic. And again, if they're not quite crispy, so if you're having your box on Sunday, for instance, don't worry about it at all. If they've gone a little bit sort of soft, just put them back onto a tray, fly them back in the oven for a matter of minutes, and they'll crispen right back up. But essentially they're going to go soggy in your soup anyway. And then there's some beautiful crispy onions, so we buy some kibbled onions and we roast those with a little bit of salt as well. And again, we haven't been shy with that. So it's really nice for the starter to have like loads of different sort of textures and flavours and different sort of fatties and fatness, and also some obviously acidity as well. And then you'll have your beautiful French onion soup. As you can see with this one, it's obviously been in the fridge, it's got a little layer of sort of butter on top, but as soon as you reheat that, obviously that'll all melt in to be a really luxurious soup. Which is super flavoursome, and it's seasoned with a little bit of sherry vinegar and obviously salt. And we also put a bouquet garni in there as well with thyme, rosemary and bay leaf. So again, it's nice and sort of herbaceous as well, with the sort of soft herbs coming through as well. So really simple, guys. I'm going to heat this in a pan. I would recommend heating a pan, but again, these are microwavable, so if you would like to put it into the microwave, it's fine, but I would recommend putting it into a pan to make sure that sort of butter all melts in. And then you just want to heat, you very gently heat your black cow cheddar custard, and everything else is room temperature. So join me after I've heated that on the stove in about 3 to 4 minutes, and I'll go through plating. Okay, guys, so my soup has just come to the boil. As you can probably hear or see, so let's knock that off. As you'll see, when you reheat your soup, it will be there's a lot of obviously onion. The French onion soup it's super oniony. So the main sort of base of that soup is literally onion. Got a little bowl. I've also microwaved that for 10 seconds. So as you can see, there was a lip on the cheese, on the sort of cheese before, but now it's sort of quite thick. Essentially, that is actually probably I'll probably heat that a little bit too much. It's just to take that sort of chilled edge off. Now this with plating, guys, is totally up to you how you want to do it. This is I've sort of said to plate it this way because I'm sort of imagining eating it, but again, it's totally up to you how you want to do it. If you want to sort of pour your soup in first and then spoon the sort of cheese sort of sauce on top, you can do the custard on top. or like I'm going to do, I'm going to just put a base of it underneath. So when you do go into it and have obviously your spoons of soup, you're going to also include the custard as well. But again, it's totally up to you. But as you can see, it's almost like a cheesy sort of fondue, like a fondue sort of cream, but it is pretty thick. So I'm going to put that in the base of the plate first, or the base of the bowl, sorry. Just like that. Beautiful. Yeah, it's super rich. Put a little bit of crispy onion on top. Cover it all up. Just like that. And then I'm going to have a little ladle. I'm going to make sure I get all that onion. I'm going to go just on the outside. So strong, it's delicious flavour, delicious smell. And there's quite a bit more in there, but I'm just going to sort of leave that for now, but make sure at home you utilise the whole entire one. Then with your croutons, just sort of scatter them reasonably evenly all over. Perfect. And then with your chive oil, essentially don't be shy with this, simply because it's all part of the same family. Super cool, contrasting colour as well. Perfect for this super cold weekend. So there's your starter, guys. A delicious classic French onion soup with your black cow cheddar custard underneath, crispy onions, soup obviously on top. With your Bernoise croutons, and finish off with your chive oil. Hope you enjoy that, and then join me after you finish that one for your main course. Okay, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed your starter. Super simple one, but delicious in flavour. So on to your main course. So we're going to go for the vegetarian one first, and we're going to go for the main one, the meat one, and equally cook the meat one as well. A couple of the garnishes are exactly the same, or if not very similar. So we can obviously repeat those. But again, with the risotto, with the vegetarian, I'll go for every single thing, obviously visually, and equally I'll obviously tell you as well. But the pork belly itself, we'll actually be cooking that dish, plating that dish afterwards as well. So without further ado, we'll have a look at what's in your veggie box. So you'll have this for one person. So you have one pot of risotto, which is a mushroom and asparagus risotto. We've used shimiji's button mushrooms and a bit of shiitake in there as well, with some green asparagus and obviously risotto. I have seasoned that up, but not to the absolute pinnacle. So please make sure once you've added everything in, just check the seasoning for salt and pepper. Please, just to make sure you're not underwhelming the dish. You are making sure you put the right required salt in. That is a mushroom stock, which is made with shiitakes. That is to add in to your pan. So with your pan, you add in your risotto, rice, your stock. Gently heat that on a very, very gentle heat, just until it starts incorporating and obviously getting thicker and taking all that water on. As soon as it's taken all that stock on, then you fold in your mushroom puree as well, which is a really thick, luxurious mushroom puree that will just add a nice fleck of colour, like a mushroom colour, but more importantly, a beautiful bit of flavour as well. In a separate container, you have some beautiful roasted hen of the wood mushrooms, or maitake mushrooms, which have got a delicious flavour. Just pop those onto a tray into the oven along with your asparagus, and it will only need 3 to 4 minutes to heat up. That's all they'll need. There will be a little bit of butter and thyme in that pot there, but that is absolutely delicious. And you want to sort of do that near in the end of your risotto. This is a sage butter sauce, so obviously it sets pretty much like butter, but when you reheat it, be really, really careful, because it's butter, it will essentially split if you heat it too hot. So either heat it in a pan very gently or in the microwave for every 10 seconds, simply to your camembert. And you just want to loosen that. It doesn't need to be hot, like it's not like a hot sauce. It's just almost like a dressing for the risotto to intensify the sage. And then you have a beautiful sage crumble for a little added texture and a bit of sage flavour as well. Being quite heavy on that, so just be careful. Taste it before, but it's super, super strong. So I wouldn't recommend using all of it. But if you are a big sage fan, then I would recommend using all of it. So that is your vegetarian box. With that, you obviously have the grilled asparagus as well. The white asparagus was unavailable this week, so we have gone literally down the road to New Farm in Armitage, Handsacre, and we have got the green asparagus from there. So I know the menu says white, but only green asparagus was available. But to be fair, I think everyone prefers green asparagus anyway. And simply, the farm is literally over there, so you can't get closer than that. Okay, so onto your meat box, which is a beautiful piece of Woolly Park Farm pork belly from my forever faithful butcher Charlie. who owns Walter Rose. So we've got a beautiful piece, because the dish itself, it's not a huge sort of big dish with massive on flavour. So you have a beautiful mixed apple compote, which is slightly sweet and slightly got a bit of salt as well. We sort of season that with a nice bit of salt. A really big portion of smoked potato puree, because that's literally the nucleus of this dish. A real rich pork sauce. Always put a nice layer of fat on, so you get that when you reheat it. Make sure you incorporate all that fat into it as well. Delicious caramelised pink lady apple, absolutely stunning. And then you also have a nice piece of grilled asparagus. Some of the asparaguses were quite thin, so we've given 2 per person. This one is white, and the reason why, we've got a couple of people who will have white, but the majority of you will have a little bit of green as well. So I'm just going to do the video with the white one. And that's it, guys. So super simple to reheat it. It's the main objective is to ensure that we get this nice and sort of crispy, or at least caramelised in the pan. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Meanwhile, you simply, if you want to heat that up, just heat up in the microwave for 10-15 seconds. Smoked potato puree, either in a pan or again in the microwave, but it is super thick, so make sure you give it a stir, and maybe need to reheat it for a second time. We're going to simply place the apple and the asparagus in the oven. That's it. They've already both been seasoned, so they're just ready to reheat. You can add a little knob of butter if you would like to, but I'm going to actually reheat them in those trays straight into the oven. Not even going to think about it. That'll take about 4 to 5 minutes, and the pork will probably take about 10 after it's seen in the pan. So come over to the stove, and I'll show you how to reheat this the best way, and then we'll put it in the oven along with the asparagus and the apples, or we'll put those in 5 minutes later, and I'll show you how to plate after. So our pan's been on for about 3 to 4 minutes, or as I've been talking, and there is a little bit of fat on, pork fat on this, so I'm not going to add any more fat to this pan. I can always add, I can never take away. So I'm just going to put that straight in. As I said on the instructions, the majority of the pork that we serve will be flat. If there's a little bit of a nick in there, don't worry, you do the exact same thing. So we pop that in, just like that. We push it down. As you can see, the skin's starting to blister already, so it's starting to dry out already. You just want to pop that in, push it down, make sure it starts to blister. Okay, see, so it's starting to blister, so I'm going to knock that down. It's on a low temperature anyway. I'm going to leave that for about a minute, but I'm going to keep sort of looking at it all the time. As soon as I've left it for a minute, and the crispness of that sort of pork skin is exactly where we want it, so it's starting to colour up almost like this. It's probably only got another minute in it. As soon as it starts doing that, I'm going to add a little bit of butter, and then a bit of thyme and garlic, and then we're going to flip it over. No, actually, no, we will leave it on the skin side, so we're going to leave it on the skin side, and we're going to roast it in the pan on that side, and we'll flip it over once we rest it. So let's leave that in for a little bit longer, and grab some butter, put the butter in, and then we'll pop it into the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, depending on how large your piece is. Okay guys, so it's been about a minute and a half, and as you can see, it's starting to sort of darken and caramelise quite nicely on there. Still on a nice low heat, so I'm going to place my butter in. I'm being quite healthy with the butter. I'm also going to put my thyme and garlic, and it'll start to crackle almost straight away. Beautiful. You just want to slightly lift, as I mentioned on there. You want to slightly lift to make sure that butter gets underneath, just like that. And then we want to pop that into the oven, straight into the oven, 180 for 12 minutes. And as I said, when it's 8 minutes through and there's 4 minutes remaining, and I'd recommend to put your asparagus and your apple in at the same time. And that's it. Okay, so join us in 12 minutes when I'm going to reheat all this, and we'll go through plating. Okay guys, so my 12-minute timer has just gone off on the oven. Obviously after 8 minutes I put the asparagus and the apples in, and they all look fantastic. I've just popped my sauce on as well. So my sauce is on. So as you can see, the pork belly is super soft, got beautiful layers of fat, beautiful bit of moisture coming out of there as well. So I'm going to flip that over. So it hasn't taken on any more colour, but you can really feel that skin is starting to go really nice and crispy. Now when I flip it over like I just have, the air will start to dry it slowly, so get a little bit crispier, so it won't go any softer, so get a little bit nice and crispier on that skin side as well. And so I'm going to reheat them in the trays. And I didn't actually add any more seasoning or butter to the asparagus. It's been grilled in extra virgin olive oil, and obviously the apple has been caramelised in a beautiful caramel as well. So I'm really happy with the flavour of that. But again, if you would like to, like me, to not add butter to something, I think it's clean enough. And I know how rich that smoked potato puree is, but also I will be absolutely fine with you adding butter to the asparagus if you would like to. My sauce is just on, so that's got about 30 seconds, which will be perfect. I would recommend allowing the pork just to sit a little bit, only for about 2 to 3 minutes. For the video, I'm going to plate it straight away, but I would recommend just sitting it for a little bit longer. But if you just pan down, you'll see obviously the pork, and you'll hear it hopefully. But when I do tap the side that, you can obviously hear that it is nice and crackly, and the whole reason for that is because we caramelise it really nicely in the pan. So don't be too concerned how dark you actually take it in the pan. The whole reason why we're doing that is to add that sort of crispiness. You're never going to get that crispy pork belly in comparison to a Sunday roast, because it hasn't had that air or cook time. But you know what, this is going to be super delicious nonetheless, and we've got a lovely bit of texture on top as well. So as I said, with your smoked potato puree, super rich, super creamy. We've heated up in the microwave in 2 stages, 2 20-second stints we did on that. As you can see, it's super thick, it's super rich as well. It is the only sort of rich part of this dish, to be quite honest. So I'm going to move that just over here. I'm going to pop my plate in the centre, and then again, guys, as we always say every week, you plate this however you like. I'm going to put a nice large dollop of potato puree, and then just sort of spoon that out in the centre, just like that. Beautiful. Again, plate it how you would like. At home, and then take my delicious pork belly. Right, you see the layers of fat going through that as well, which is beautiful. You've got your caramelised apple, just on top. A little bit of caramel, so butter has come out as well. Just going to add that just around the outside. Delicious. And then to take a slightly sweetened apple compote. I'm just going to do a very quick, not very neat quenelle. So it showcases it up. There we are. And finally, the asparagus, I'll just roll in that little bit of excess oil that's come off. Essentially, you can also roll it back in your pork butter, so you get that flavour. Just leave that to one side. Give it a nice rub. Obviously, the majority will be having green asparagus with yours, guys. And then the finale, is your beautiful rich pork sauce, which again I'll just literally pour over the whole dish. Once a little bit thicker, reduce it down. Again, I think that with the pork will go really, really well at that sort of consistency, because the pork, well, essentially is quite rich. So we can sort of marry it with that really nicely. So there's your main course, guys. Beautiful pressed pork belly, caramelised pink lady apple, Granny Smith compote, grilled asparagus, your smoked potato puree in the centre, and your beautiful pork sauce. Hope you enjoy that, and join us after this for your dessert. Okay, guys, so hope you enjoyed your main course of your pork and apple on for your dessert, which is a beautiful, one of my favourite, literally my favourite desserts on the planet. Is a beautiful bread and butter pudding. So we have a piece of bread and butter pudding with a cognac custard on glaze, and we also have, again, which is a first, like a brown butter ice cream. So the consistency of the brown butter ice cream, it may be a little bit sort of, it might take a while to dissolve on your tongue, so it might be a little bit, I wouldn't say bitty, because it's obviously still ice cream, but you may just take a little sediment of the burnt noisette, but the flavour is absolutely incredible. But to be fair, with the bread and butter pudding in the sauce, you won't even remotely have the texture of it at all. So there's your bread, there is your ice cream. You will also obviously have a beautiful whiskey custard, as previously mentioned, and then the pièce de résistance, which is your delicious bread and butter pudding, which is right here. Gonna have a little look. Beautiful. So it's on that tray, and I'm going to recommend popping that as a nice bit of cinnamon on top, and there's layers of sultanas and apricot with a beautiful rich vanilla custard in there as well. Absolutely delicious. So I'd recommend that, putting that into the oven between 4 to 5 minutes, just to sort of bake that and warm that back through, and then we'll plate that as soon as that's come out of the oven. So it's in about 4 minutes. Okay, guys, so my 4-minute timer has just gone off on the oven, so I'll get the bread and butter pudding out now. It's super hot. It's just started to sort of bubble in the bottom, and the custard on top may start to, as it has in here, just slightly sort of relax and fold. I haven't gone shy with the custard at all, so it is super rich. Obviously got a bit of extra custard as well, so be really careful getting it out of the tray. Obviously you can add the, you can place it out when it's cold and put on some grease proof, obviously, if you would like to. So pop that right into the centre of the bowl, and then with your sort of scooped ice cream, pop that on top if I was you, but obviously I'll scoop on as we speak. Beautiful rainbow ice cream. There we are, beautiful. And then with your sauce, we'll turn that your way. And with the custard, I'd recommend just popping that right on top. I've left mine sort of at room temperature, but obviously if you'd like to heat it up, just very gently heat it up. But as I said, we do use fresh free range egg yolks, so if you do reheat it really slowly, really gently, or else it will scramble. But that is your finished dessert, guys. Beautiful bread and butter pudding, brandy custard or cognac custard. Underneath that is some brown butter ice cream. First for Dine at Home, absolutely delicious. I can't wait to have that after the video. And then after that, final little taster with your sort of iconic Dine at Home fudge, which you recommend to have a little drink or on its own, or leave it in the fridge for whenever you decide to have it, because it's super rich. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope you've enjoyed the meal, more importantly, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a fantastic weekend and stay safe, guys. See you then.